What's up, guys? It's your Monday evening technical analysis report for June 26, 2023. You got the crew here. You got Bags and GP. What up, GP?
What up?
And Nick, JFDI.
Howdy.
Our cerebral assassin trader.
Yeah, man. Some of the stuff you post, Nick, it's deep.
Yeah, have you read the book Think and Grow Rich?
No.
So I mean, everyone started saying like you are kind of the five people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
The book Think and Grow Rich had this idea of like basically having like a mastermind group, and it's like basically like five people that are more or less kind of like mentors, or however people you aspire to be like, or you look up to them. I use my tweet deck kind of like that, and so like I have like various columns of like I have a column filled with like traders that I really respect and aspire to trade like, or to get to be one day. Same thing with like just kind of all areas of my life. But I don't know, like the parallels between just kind of like life and growth, and all of it, and how it kind of correlates to the markets, the market behavior, our personal behavior. I don't know. I think it's just all, yeah, I think it runs deep. I mean, the more we stay on the path. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, totally. That it aligns, man. There's a lot about all this stuff that's important to know yourself as much as you know the markets.
For sure.
What's the single most useful thing about knowing yourself, Nick, that you would just expand on for us?
Discipline is like the ultimate form of self-love. So like when it comes to, at least as a trader and even as an investor, really, like the more disciplined you are, and I don't mean like discipline in a broad sense, I mean it in you having like your set of rules. Like making money is ultimately more important than being right, and so like following your rules kind of through and through. Pretty much every great trader or investor basically preach the same thing. It's risk and money management. And like
I think, sorry, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's one real challenge for people starting out trying to trade, right?
Yeah.
Because you might have a set of rules in your head, but whether it's you think you have a mental stop, or a mental take profit, or the position's going against you, but you're just trying to will it to go the other way, right? Like there's so many things that if you don't have that discipline to really stick to those rules, there's no reason to write those rules down. There's no reason to quote unquote have rules if you're unwilling to abide by them.
I mean, yeah, I think, when it comes to putting a trade together, I mean, ultimately, like having a written out plan, I think does wonders. I know that in my best periods, or when I ultimately feel like I'm in the zone, I'm following my trade plans like to the T.
How long did it take you to really buy into that? I mean, were you right out of the box like, I've got this written down, I'm sticking to it no matter what? Or
no.
You have to pay your tuition, right? You have to pay the education fees of losing before you really take grasp of that, right?
Yeah, 2000 and about 7 to 2000 and let's say like 11 or 12, it was really a roller coaster, but I was primarily day trading that time period. It was a little bit easier, I think, for whatever reason, I felt like it was easier to kind of to write my plans out when it came to day trades. In 2013, I think when we broke out to kind of all-time highs there in the S&P, I tried to transition into swing trading and on longer term holds, and I think it really took until probably, I think it was like 2017 is when ultimately when I felt like I truly made a turn, at least in my approach. And obviously I still struggle with it at times. I think anytime you try to tinker with ultimately, like, you know, what I've been trying to work on is getting bigger and bigger into concentrated positions. So like I've been trying, you know, it's easy. I've always found it easy to take profits and like cutting stop losses too. Like those two things, for whatever reason, have always been very easy for me. But to hold things like long, like for a long period through like, you know, a range, like a crazy range period, or, you know, even if I'm in like a runner position, like that's been, I don't know, that's been the difficult thing for me.
I think that's
But
that has to do with conviction of where you, that also, I think it has to do with conviction of where you think something is fundamentally underpriced, right?
sure, yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot that goes to that conversation. You know, the Common King Kyle, he's not really on StockTwits or Twitter anymore, but he recommended a book called The Art of Execution. I think I've talked about it before.
Yeah.
By Lee Freeman Shore. It's a quick read. It's, you know, it's not a long read, but one of the things that stuck out to me that I already kind of knew, but he kind of articulated it as well, is like, if you're holding a position, you're down, let's say 30, 40%, and you're not adding, but you're just holding, what's the game plan, right? So like,
Yeah.
if you're in a position where you're down this percentage and you're not willing to add, then you should evaluate what you're trying to do with this position. Because if you're not willing to add when it's gotten cheaper, then why are you still holding, right? Fine if you don't have any money, that's a different conversation, and you blew your wad at the very tippity top. But if you have money, what's holding you back? And if something's holding you back from adding, then you should be cutting that entire position, because you, for whatever reason it is, your underlying belief, whatever it is, you don't want to add because you don't believe in the stock, and it's time to move on. Because recovering from those financial losses, fine, right? That's harder, but the mental losses that are tied to those types of positions, the angst, anxiety, the second guessing, all the stuff that comes along with the investment cycles, like, and you're still not adding, then it's time to move on from that position and find one that where you do feel comfortable holding for long term, right? Maybe it's IBM, because IBM's been steady at 122 to 130 for 24 years now, and giving you 5% dividend, you're okay with that, and you can't handle the gyrations of, you know, Tesla or whatever it is. But you got to find that part of your personality that I think it's really sticks to when it comes to this investing conversation, because if you stick to that, you're most likely going to do and make decisions that are of sound mind versus emotional and sheepy and all that other stuff. So
it's hard, right? Like the emotional part of it's high, but it's hard because you got this high of adrenaline when a trade works out, and dopamine, right? Like you're doing everything right and you feel like you can be invincible, and then you get stuck in a losing trade because of whatever reason. You know, there's 1,000 different reasons why you might be stuck in a losing trade, and now all of a sudden you've seesawed to the other end of the pendulum, right? Like you're on the other end of the spectrum with, oh shit, I lost more than I expected and all this. So it's really hard to get your emotions in check, regardless if it's a high or a low to some degree.
Yeah, and one of the most mentally freeing things you can do is taking that loss. It is
Yeah, absolutely.
unbelievably powerful in your future investment profiles when you actually take that loss. It hurts like hell, but when you take that loss, and you've been able to move on and like, okay, well, I had 10 grand, now it's 1,000, now I have 1,000 cash. How do I invest this? You have a different, clearer picture. But if you have a $9,000 loss in books and you add $1,000 from your from your, I don't know, savings or whatever, to increase your investment, and you're like, oh, where do I put it? Well, I had this one and this one screwed me badly. And like, I think it's really powerful to take losses when you're fighting and it frees it just frees you. That's my personal opinion. It's hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think you almost have to disassociate from the money. Like you can't identify. I've been victim to like identifying with my more or less last trade, or like my, the equity in my account, where it's like, dude, my self-worth doesn't come from like the dollar amount in my trading account. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think that again, I think there's still moments I struggle with that, but the more that I remind myself of that, I don't know, the better, the calmer that I feel. Like it I don't know, it was interesting, on Thursday I was on the treadmill and dude, I could not figure out the way. I was like feeling all kinds of funky. And I was like, I literally tweeted, I'm like, I don't know if the way that I'm feeling right now is indicative of like a sell-off or like a face-ripping rally. And then literally a minute later, I tweeted like, maybe it's both. And that's more or less what we got. And I thought it was so funny. And it kind of made me think like, for the most part, if we're in tune with the way that we feel, we probably have the collective is probably feeling the same way that we are. And just, I think being aware of that, kind of to your point too, kind of help if you can be aware of it and kind of sit back. I think you can make better decisions. Sometimes if it's like, the fear is rolling in, maybe you just sit tight for a moment. Maybe it's a signal that you add. It had me thinking like I've done a very poor job at journaling. Not so much in like my trade journal, but more or less like how I'm feeling. Just how I'm feeling. Even today, like all day, like I've been feeling like crazy irritable. I have no idea why. I mean, even considering the action that we saw on Thursday, Friday, and I've even been anticipating kind of like a choppy period of time here. So like, I feel like I've been prepared and was prepared, made the right decisions, but I was still feeling crazy irritable today. I even told my wife, I was like, dude, I think we just all need to like stay in our own bubbles today. Like, I don't know why.
I think that's also like a lot of the action over the last 6 to 12 months has felt like purposely, I won't say manipulation, but it's felt very much like they're trying to screw you, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I can understand that feeling. It's like, yeah, well, we've been up like, however many percent in the last couple of months, like the pullback is coming, but they still tried to push higher, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, like we know everyone's gonna pull back, so why are we still trying to push higher here, right? Like because
Right.
it's there, like, and maybe that's just the blue pill versus red pill conversation, is like maybe other people aren't expecting the pullback, and it's like, well, so maybe it's just perhaps the newer people, and then you can see kind of the matrix. So I don't know what it is either, but it's interesting It's interesting nonetheless, but shall we get into more charts or bags? You got to add some more stuff.
No, no. I mean, I thought this was a very great way to really start the pod today because, I mean, hell, we had a red week on the Q or on the Qs last week. We were started out red. I mean, as a whole for last week, down 1.37%, and we start off down 1.16%. So I feel like after having such a trend run up, and Nick, you and I've talked about it, right? We talked about it with Cookie a little bit. Like we kind of saw maybe a cooling off happen, a little chop action happen. But I think some of the traders out there, especially on the bullish side, were probably thinking, oh, this resolves higher too, like immediately, like every single dip on the 5-minute chart gets bought. And I mean, we're still inside the candle from 2 weeks ago. So I don't think it's the end of the world here, but I feel like from some of the comments I've seen from both the bullish and the bearish side, like this is the beginning of new lows right here. Like it's going to fall off the cliff. And I mean, it could, who knows? I doubt it. But we're looking at the Qs right here. And I don't know, GP, Nick, you guys tell me how you're feeling and what you see.
You know, again, kind of, I can't remember what GP said on Friday, and my reply to whatever he had said, I remember, was the mind and the body are tired. Or maybe that was on Sunday, or I don't remember when he tweeted that.
No, that was Friday.
Friday. And my thought was just that it's been since basically early March was the last time the Qs were at the 50-day. And I was just kind of feeling like, you know, we've been running pretty hot. Is this the time where the 20-day doesn't hold? Like the 20-day's been more or less respected. And if price can correct through time or through price, we're getting a little extended away from the 50-day. So I just kind of was thinking, you know, even if the Qs end up, you know, selling off a little bit more from here, I could definitely see us pulling back to 348, even probably as low as like 340. Like what's well,
348's the 9 on the weekly.
Sure. So like what is that, like
that would be the top of the original breakout above this wedge that was created from previous all-time highs.
Oh, sure.
But
and that's like a 6 to 8% correction off the most recent highs. Like I don't think there's anything
for the Qs, right? I think it's been interesting because yes, we've had a fairly big move, but we've also not had the participation to have the big move, right? Like,
sure.
So if you were in anything that wasn't like Microsoft or NVIDIA or Tesla or Google or Amazon or Netflix or Apple or Meta, this run up in the Qs has been miserable for you, right? Like, look at Square. Square is barely budged, right? Look at Salesforce. It's barely budged. There's a lot of stuff, right? Like that's, so now they don't participate on the upside, but on the downside, we're all kind of selling off together. So I can see the frustration as well, though, right? Like it's
for sure. Like
today, it was very apparent that all the selling was in the ones that have run up, right? I'm looking at my list here. NVIDIA's red, Tesla's red, Microsoft red, Google red, Amazon red, Netflix red, Apple red, Meta red, MDB red. But then a random one in there is Square. I was like, why Square red? It hasn't run up. And like from a person who's been like maybe buying or trying to trade Square, it did have a good move, right? It went from 55 to 66, and everyone's expecting bigger moves, and then it came back and retested. We're at 61.8 here, and then Roku as well went all the way up to. But like a lot of these, like it hasn't been fun because the moves are getting destroyed fairly easy in a lot of the ones that are not the big ones.
Yeah.
So I can understand the frustration because the Qs have moved from the lows of 250 back in October to 371 or 373 or whatever it was, and most of your stocks have sucked.
Well, I posted the Q's chart knocking right off that 1618 fib the other day, and that wasn't received tremendously well. But again, it was that's just a Fibonacci retracement there, or sorry, extension. And yeah, I mean, I think Nick, to your point, like 348 wouldn't be the end of the world. Actually, our friend Maxwell House over at Charts for Charity, he was looking at S&P futures, and he's kind of got us down, not even as low as that. It was somewhere around the 4,300 level on these guys. So that would be right basically at that gap fill from the 8th of June. So we're talking not even 20 days ago. And that's, what is that? Like 1.6%, 1.7% on the S&P from here, which in the grand scheme of things, if that's where it needs to go to bounce from where we've been, that's not a lot of downside.
To me, I think that just technically speaking, if we fill that gap, I think we go lower, right? So I think it's important, like S&P, right? If you're looking at the ES, the futures,
yep,
from April 1st, right, or end of March to beginning of June went kind of sideways, right? It was in the 100-point range for 2 months, and then finally broke out, and it's already coming back and retesting the gap is not always a good sign, right? That's a lack of strength to me. So I'd be more, my red flags will be up much higher if we do fill this gap. That's personally for me, because after 2 months of pretty much consolidating, not even a big move up, just consolidating, we finally break out and we're immediately retesting the breakout. I just, when that to me is not a,
I personally believe we're in the shake and bake camp. I think between Friday and today, that's your shake. Now it's time to go up on your bake. I think probably. I mean, we might open lower tomorrow, but I think we go higher from here.
Personally, I did think it, like, I don't know. I was kind of hoping for a weaker early start to the week. Like, I'd rather see a weaker start and then us finish strong than vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the camp that a lot of people are in, that we're going to have initial weakness and then close strong because of monthly flows. And that was a thing that got me on Friday, because everyone and their mother was talking about, oh, end of month, end of quarter is going to be really bullish. Everyone's going to be loading the boat, the pension funds. And I was like, wait, everyone's saying this? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that came out, Chem Kersan, he talked about his short of like a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, oh, I covered 2/3 of my short because of end of month, end of quarter, beginning of month flows. And I was like, oh my God, he's been talking about a big decline coming for a long time, and this guy's closing his shorts. And I was like, this is not a good sign to me. Like, this is something to worry about, right? So that's what got my radar up quite a lot on Friday, and the fact that Friday was a big move down with absolutely no news, right?
Right.
And today was a big move down, and the Russia news turned to nothing burger. So you're like, okay, so what's going on here? So there's definitely more caution for me now in this phase here than there has been in the past couple of months, because we've had, if you remember, January 4th, 2022, or was it January 5th, whenever that was, we tried to break higher out of the flag, and then we immediately reversed lower on the Qs and the SPYs. That was like one of the biggest bull traps that set off that 38% decline in the Qs. So it's just something to watch. for me. I'm not as
Yeah.
bullish as I've been. Sad enough.
Well, let's look at year two's darling, Tesla.
So
I love
we
it.
get a downgrade from Goldman Sachs with the usual big old fuckery. Here's a downgrade, but we're gonna raise the price target from 185.
I love those.
Those are some of the best downgrades. And now after today, it's now sitting under their price target. So they've re-upgraded tomorrow. But like, oh, it's a buy. You can make $7.
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah. So I think Tesla. There's a lot of catalysts here for Tesla to go higher. I'm still in the camp that it shakes and then bakes and then shakes and then bakes and shakes and then bakes.
I've never understood the downgrade, but we're upgrading the price target.
Yeah. They went from buy to neutral, but raised the price target.
Oh, Tesla.
Nick, what do you see? What do you like about it?
I'm long and I just didn't really want to add on. Just the way that I was kind of feeling, like I don't want to, even if we would have continued higher, like let's say we would have followed through post Thursday and gone higher, like I didn't want to add on strength, so I was kind of hoping for a pull in. I have every intention to add versus the gap fill, basically at the 20-day. I wouldn't be opposed to adding versus, like, let's just say it gets a little bit harder. I wouldn't be opposed to adding versus like the 218, 222-ish area either, because I would consider that kind of just a retest of the breakout from the 216, 23 kind of pivot high.
Yeah.
If price got under the 200-day, I'd wash the trade. But anyways, yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised
like
with a close above 285 this week. That's me.
I wouldn't
I
either.
honestly wouldn't either. I like, at the same time, any close like in the 250s to 260s, I would be ecstatic, and I would actually consider adding on strength coming out of the basically a 3-week tight if we got that.
So
I
Yeah.
think it's going to 260s personally. If my shake and bake theory holds true, like this is the perfect setup for it, right? You undercut the previous high week, and then you just turn straight around. You turn straight back higher.
Yeah.
You do this number right here. You
do me a favor, Bags. Bring up the NVDA chart weekly, right?
Yep.
So on March 6th week, can you find it?
March 6th is right here.
Yeah, so you see the following week where it undercut and then reversed higher.
Yeah.
It was a similar scenario for Tesla, and if you're looking at the Tesla cloud, it's hitting that same cloud resistance. So you're in almost the same boat. So that's why I think you have, and that week it undercut, I think, the lows by like 2 or 3%, which is what Tesla just did, by like 2 or 3%. What did it close at? 241. So it undercut by 3%, I guess. And then
in your clouds. That's a beauty.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised with either one. I don't do short-term crap on Tesla, so I don't care about week to week. I care about the bigger picture here.
Yeah, that's kind of the camp I'm into with Tesla.
Yeah. So
that's just kind of another, again, like I didn't, at the same time, I just didn't particularly want to add on strength. I don't really want to wreck my position.
Yeah.
So,
and to me, this is depending on how this week goes, is going to be a big tell for me, is that this is the the third wave of the breakout, and third breakouts are fairly shallow.
Sure.
And relentless to the upside. So you get a lot of those candles, right? Like if you remember NVIDIA's wave 3 breakout, they announced a $10 billion offering and it barely budged, right?
Yeah.
So that's the
When
kind
was
of
that?
It was right after their earnings, not the last one, but the one before that.
Okay.
I think that was the week of
It was right here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it was that March 6th week, right?
Yeah.
And I for some reason I always associate Goldman downgrades to be best buying opportunities in most stocks. So
Yeah, they want more.
Goldman upgrades are opportunities to sell, maybe not the day of, day after, whatever, but it's usually marking the end of the moves. So
Yeah, you're right, GP. It was that March 6th week. That was it right there.
Yep.
Right. I just Googled it. Speaking of Googling it, I just Googled it. I went long Google this morning. I could have got a better price, but I wasn't risking it. I thought under 121 was a fair for Google with the L, the class A shares, because I want to vote. No, I don't want to really vote, but for $1 a share cheaper and it's the same stock, I'll take the one with the L. I really like Google here. I know I liked it back here and you guys kind of poo-pooed it. I kind of like it on that 9 EMA for the turnaround. So I'm going to play it. It could come down to maybe like 116-ish and I would still be game. Below that though, then I might have to look for a re-entry.
Watch 117.
Yeah, something like that.
It's the top of the weekly flat cloud. It's one of the few stocks that actually broke straight through the flat weekly cloud, which is a very powerful move.
Yep.
And so come back and retest the flat cloud and hold would be very powerful for the next setup. So that's what I've been wanting to get
up. I pulled that up too, GP.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you. 116. Where was the 116 at? Yeah, that's actually 116, 117.04 is the 50-day. So I kind of like it in that 116, 117 area. And yeah, I'll probably be a buyer around there again as my second tranche if it does that. But
and the flow in Amazon and Google has been really bullish. So
yeah.
But it's not bullish for like this week and next week. It's bullish like going into earnings and after. So
yeah, I'm not buying Google for just a simple trade, right? Like Google's one of those that you can hopefully as an investor hold on to for a while. I'm not crazy the way this rounding top looks, but if it holds on to the cloud and if it holds on that 50-day and then on the weekly recovers that 9 EMA, I think it's going to reverse. So we'll see. It hasn't confirmed that it's going to do that, but I thought sub 121 was a fair price this morning, and I took about a quarter of a position. So I still got plenty of room to add, but I won't go crazy if it breaks down below that 116 area.
Yeah, and to be honest, after NVIDIA's guide, after their last earnings on AI, I wouldn't be surprised for some monster breakouts on earnings coming up in earnings seasons, right? So especially in the names of Microsoft, Google, Amazon, the guys who are the big dogs in the markets of AI as well as cloud and all that other stuff. So if
I just don't think Megacap's dead yet.
What's that?
I just don't think Megacap is dead yet.
No, but if NVIDIA is showing the way, then you're telling me an entire bubble only happened in one stock?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I love the bubble talks, like people actually have lived through any type of bubble. The last bubble was 2008. Most people haven't lived through even that, but the real big bubble was 2000. And
Yeah,
having like a 200% move from the bottom is not a bubble. It's an overvalued stock, but the bubble is when you start getting 500%, 1000% moves. That's what bubbles are, where it's relentless. Like if you talk
Like,
to the
was
people,
AI even a conversation in 2020?
no.
Yeah,
Well, I think Kathy might have been talking about it.
okay.
Well, a conversation in the theme of this is coming, yes, but a conversation as there's anything going on except Jensen Wong creating personal avatars for people. No, not really.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? I just love
I think this is just the beginning. Like we're just
I just love the anecdotal talk about bubbles. Like anyone really
Yeah.
knows what bubbles really are, right? Like me included. So we will talk about the bubble once the bubble bursts, not while the bubble is happening.
This is not financial advice that I'm asking for you to, but you guys have known that I've had big stakes. I still have a big stake in Microsoft. My largest stake is Amazon and Apple. Now I've added Google to that mix. I'm not saying I feel overweight these names, but if you were to lose one of those four, who would it be and why?
So what are they? Amazon,
Amazon,
Microsoft,
Apple,
Google?
Google, and Microsoft.
I don't think I would.
To me,
Yeah.
that's a hard one.
The only thing I would say is Google because it's your most recent, but I mean, I think these
yeah.
are like monumental longer term winners.
I agree, but the question was if you were to lose one, which of the four would it be? Not that I'm going to sell one, I'm just asking.
I would just say Google because it's your most recent.
All right, that's fair enough.
I'd say Apple.
Apple.
Why? Why Apple?
What's 5 years from now gonna look like for Apple, right? So
I can tell you. I already got it.
no, so like
Oh.
I'm giving you my thought process. So give me a
Sure.
minute. To me, if I was thinking about, okay, if AI is the future, I'm not saying Apple can't participate in that future, but who are the leaders in that space outside of NVIDIA with their chip builds? It's going to be the cloud names. So if I was thinking about where growth was,
That's fair.
and if it's already out there and everyone knows all this stuff, that's not where the growth comes from, in my opinion. But if I was going along those lines, Apple doesn't fall into that path. And part of me also thinks that at some point soon, Tim Cook will step down, and he has generated, if not more wealth than Steve Jobs, right? In his tenure.
He has.
So a lot of people were like, fire Tim Cook in early days, but he has shown that he may not be innovative, but he can execute like no one else.
He can manage a company like a boss.
Yeah. So to me, I find Tim Cook to be the risk of Apple. But it's Apple. They know what they're doing for the most part. So it's a hard one. But if I had to choose between those four, that's the one that
Apple and Microsoft are two of my oldest positions that I have. So my cost basis is stupid low on both of them.
So in all those cases, it's just sell upside calls when you feel like the top is coming.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was getting to. Selling calls. We got a few questions in the chat if you guys wanna humor it. Make the time. Said of the biggest relative strength leaders today on my list are Uber, Zillow, Home Depot, Lowe's, on that's On Holdings, not On Semiconductor, and Wayfair. Would you guys like to look at any of those names?
So I can
I
tell you
love
about Home
Uber.
Depot and Lowe's. Home Depot is literally the same price it was over a year ago. So let's not really talk about strength.
Home Depot,
Lowe's-
Home Depot looks like it's ready to break out. In
What's that?
fairness, Home Depot looks like it's ready to break out. In
And I'm
fairness,
long, but it's not strength, right? It's been sideways. So to me, it's in the point of where it can start showing
Lowe's
strength,
looks like it wants to break its range.
Yeah. Damn.
but it's all range, right? It's
Yeah.
not strength, it's range. So until it actually breaks out. So
All right.
strength to me is when
I
Tesla
agree
goes from 153 to 270 in 5 weeks. That's strength.
I agree with Nick. It's Uber with the strength.
Yeah, I love Uber.
Yeah,
I
Uber's
haven't
got
looked
good
at
strength.
Zillow.
Uber's got good
on-
strength. Redfin, Zillow, they all do too. I agree with the
Redfin doesn't look
Redfin.
bad. I like Uber. Let's go with Uber. Nick, shoot us Uber.
If I can get it anywhere near like 40, I don't know, 40, 41, I'll jump on it. I'm kind of kicking myself for not entering and not
Like
having
back
a
at that
position.
9 weekly.
Yeah, even at just the 20-day. At any point, if I get a 20-day test, I'll buy it. Actually,
Yeah, that looks really good. Stair stepping away.
So
I think
45 is going to be monster resistance in this one, right? So
45.
it's the big boner bar from November 2020.
Is
And
it gonna be
45.38?
monster? I mean, there's some volume profile there, but it's not like it's not as big as it's come through.
Yeah, but it's also like it's from where it's come, right? So
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
it's gone from 27 or 29 or whatever it is all the way to 45, where 45 has been a place where it's where it broke down post IPO, right?
Sure.
It's where it kind of had that post COVID kind of island top breakdown, right? It tested that area quite a few times, and now at a weekly 75, 76 RSI coming into that resistance, to me, this is probably either going to rest or come down hard, right? So I hope it corrects through time because they're now finally profitable.
Yeah.
So that would be the nice change of pace that you'd like to see from the stock, and not like a monster move down again. But I think
Only
45.
80 some odd percent in the past 6 months for 2023. Not bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not NVDA, but it's not bad.
No, it looks great, but I think you're just approaching a hairy point in the chart.
Yeah, you're definitely mid-range. That's kind of, yeah.
What do you guys think about Humana for a bounce soon? Reiterated the earnings guidance and hasn't recovered. I don't know anything about
Tells you all you
Humana.
need to know.
Yeah, it's not my kind of setup.
I don't know nothing about Humana other than I do not like anything in the healthcare sector currently. Anything in the old XLV bags no likey.
Yeah, and that's monster volume. Jeez. It could be bear flagging. That 438 level has been solid support resistance for the better part of the last 3 years. I haven't looked at this chart a long time, but I had a line drawn at 438 and it tagged it, and then it's been okay. But it didn't make a new low, so I would use 2 weeks ago. What was the low? 435. I'd use that as a risk reward place.
435 on the nose.
Yeah.
I love it when they stop it out right on the penny. You know what I mean?
But that could be
So
capitulation.
we can't go
volume,
434.97. It's got to be 435.
Yep.
Our good friend Randy,
DWXT looking freaking great.
honorary member of the TA report, who hey, better late than never, Randy. It's great to see you tonight. I'm glad you didn't have to suffer it out with the misses today. BWXT, I think that's right up Nick's alley.
Yeah, it looks great. I love
What's
the
the name?
weekly, the monthly.
BWX Technologies.
What is
Definitely
that?
a little thin to win, but God,
Right
it
at
looks-
all-time highs.
yeah, it looks. The monthly, I think, is probably my favorite time frame.
So you have 4 days to take out 72.18. If it does not, I'd be worried because that's a monster volume bar on the monthly, yet
Yeah.
has not taken out all-time highs. This is the LRCX conversation from last year
Sure.
to me.
There you go, Randy.
Volume, and you haven't taken out all-time highs, so you have 4 days for the month to end and take out that all-time highs. But you'll see back in February 2020, when it did not take out all-time highs, what was the next 2 candles down? Not so great. The one in April 2021, next 2 candles down, not so, not next 10 candles down, not so great. So I think it's an important level to take out here on the month.
There you go. You got a week to do it, Randy. 4 more trading days.
Even if we don't, I love the range on the monthly. I think anything above like 50, 55, 60, I think it looks amazing. Under those
Dude,
Under
that's a
about-
30% move down.
I'm just saying. I would
No,
still
I
have
don't
it. I would
agree with.
still-
I'm
would
not
still have it
disagreeing
on
with
my-
you. What I'm
I-
saying is from here, it needs to take that out, or it probably will go to the bottom of that range.
Yeah, for sure.
This is not financial advice, Randy.
I'm just saying how much I like that range, like that big base, like it'll continue to be on my radar until you're exactly to your point, until that high gets taken out.
No one on the TA report is a fiduciary.
No, this is a chart opinion. This is not price or
Right.
action.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
pattern recognition.
Row Crab. Hey, Row Crab. This is the first time I've seen you here. Thanks for joining and stopping in. Love the initial conversation on mindset. Thank you. Curious to get your thoughts on NG or Boyle and energy, crude and XOM. Who wants to go first?
I'll just give it to GP.
Let's be nice. This is the first time he has joined us. I don't want to get too carried away on how bad the GP and I hate the energy sector.
I like Boyle and Natty Gas. I think it's on the verge of making a monster move up. I do not like
Reverse split on
oil.
Boyle finally.
What's that?
They finally did the reverse split on Boyle.
Yeah, so I traded Boyle from 270 to about 310, and then I got out because the reverse split was happening, and I don't want to be involved in that. I'll just buy it afterwards. So I'm looking for entry. It cleared my 268.50 level. There's been a lot of accumulation in nat gas down here that had a lot of accumulation back in 2020. I like the way this looks, and I think this has potential to take out 338 on nat gas, which whatever translates to Boyle. And then if it takes that out, I think it can go much higher, all the way back to around 6. But
yeah, the NG chart looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Oil still looks like garbage to me, yet XLE does what it does. So,
so just again, for Row Crab, we think the XLE is in a big distribution pattern. We think this is going lower over time, and it's being sold off basically. That's what distribution is. As far as crude goes, I think it looks like it's coming for the pits of hell. Honestly, I think once we break below this $64 something around there, it's Katie bar the door. I don't think it's going to be a straight line down, but I think it's going to stair step probably into the 50s.
my initial price target was 54 when it topped out in last year in 2022. It's been a slow trickle down, which it's a commodity, so I get it.
Row Crab is Rohit. He's been here before. He changed his name. He wanted a different take on. He thought we'd be nice to the new guy. No, I'm just joking. Roy. No, we still don't like it.
So technically, oil, like if you're looking at the crude chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inside weeks since that May disaster candle. But where are the inside weeks? It's happening basically below the body of that disaster candle.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it will die. It could just go sideways, but I don't understand the bid and energy why oil is still looking like garbage.
Well,
but
yeah, once it loses 64, we're coming down another 10 to 12%, in my opinion. And one man's opinion, just based on the chart.
Yep.
Thank JCRVS. Thanks, guys, for your time and evaluation. Energy question mark. Do you still see it falling more with with the travel and weather conditions? Curious in Devon and Marathon. I don't think Devon and Marathon are any different than what we think's going to happen with the rest of XLE. I mean, Nick, if you feel strongly otherwise, please jump in.
It's not that I feel. I mean, the main candle that I'm watching on the XLE is basically March of 22. That's the highest volume candle basically since 2009. And
On
so
the monthly.
on the monthly, so the low of that candle is like what is it? 70.29. Yeah, so 70.29 is basically the like what would ultimately put me in your guys' camp is if that low gets taken out. As far as I'm concerned, and just watching it, it's just in a range to me. And as far as the individual names go, you're not going to find me buying something below the 200-day moving average.
right. So throw up
just
the XOM chart while you're talking about the 200-day.
Yeah. Interestingly, the
throw
XOM,
up
the
the
200-day is
50.
still sloping upwards.
Go to daily, throw up the 50 and throw up the 200-day.
Yeah, they're about to cross.
They're
The
about to
50
cross.
is the orange. Oh, you
Yep.
want the simple moving average? They have
Yes,
crossed
please.
on the EMA.
No, SMA.
Now you're asking a lot of me, GP. I'm telling you what, buddy.
So the 50 is now curling down, right? While the price is starting to move back up, but it's curling down. The 200-day is still rising. So they're both about to cross each other.
There you go.
And they're about to cross each other. This is under
Yellow
the
is
200-day.
yellow is the 50, red is the 200-day.
It has now rejected the 200-day once to like 10 times now, right? And two different kind of peaks to troughs. To me, this isn't bullish, but energy does what it wants apparently. So
it knows no technical rules.
Yeah. And basically that big gap up after they did the OPEC cut, it basically went sideways from April 3rd to March 27th, finally broke out, immediately rejected and dropped down in XOM, right? Like it all looks like distribution.
You know who we haven't talked about? Our girl Dixie today.
Is she whack?
Dixie, the dollar index. This is why it keeps me as a believer in that we're having the shake and bake. You know what I mean? Like that does not look like a bullish setup to me.
No.
Nope.
Right. Looks like we put
it at least wants to test the bottom of this range, right? Like at least wants to go to 101.
Yeah.
At minimum, I would think. Maybe I'm crazy.
So it's under the 50-week. It has now tried to reclaim the 50-week twice and rejected it both times. It's at a trend line. It's it's in the same camp as XLE though.
It does
The
what it wants.
weakness, it doesn't want to die, but it doesn't want to go up either, right? It just kind of trades in this sideways range. Basically all of 2023, it's been kind of going up and down and making lower highs, yeah. So
Randy says, anyone notice how strong industrial, engineering, and consulting companies are doing, especially small caps? Randy, throw us a name.
I hope he's not talking about Accenture
I don't know who he's talking about.
or IBM.
I mean, the XLI, right? That's industrial. I mean, nice move on the daily. I mean, you could say it's flagging above the EMAs there on the weekly.
I actually like the Dow Jones. Nick, it's a 3/4 tight.
3/4 tight.
Yep.
Holy moly. Look at that, Nick.
I mean, the XLI, like considering today, I mean, ultimately until when the 616 bar gets, when that high gets taken out, you'll consider this a successful, retest of the breakout. But
Yeah.
as of like what today gave us, it certainly looks like
And
it
to
kind of
Said MOD, Modine Manufacturing. Randy always brings up these obscure names that just look like they want to rip or have ripped.
is
Randy,
he
you
just going to the
gotta send
52-week
it.
highs?
Randy's got to send us these scanners that he's getting here. If he's part of the pod, we keep calling him part of the pod. He's got to share the wealth on this.
But I agree with I think small caps are going to outperform in general. If you look at small caps on the quarterly, the IWM, for all the bearish sentiment, we've had 3 straight green quarters. As of now, that could change by the end of the week for this quarter, but
Hey, Nick, am I going to get my 179 back?
You're 179 back?
Yeah, on the IWM.
That is just, those are a couple of ugly daily bars, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
not
not
really.
I don't like those big topping wicks. Or those big, like, I don't know.
I would rather them be here than up here, though. That would look more like a tweezer top, and those are no bueno.
It's holding the gap down from the financial crisis of 2023, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's putting an inverted hammer on on that exact moment, that 180.39. Quarterly is showing you 3 straight green quarters, yet inherently everyone hates the small caps more and more. So I think this is probably one of, if you give yourself enough time, I think this is one of the more outperforming stories over the next 3 to 6 months, along with the Dow Jones.
What did I set that alert for, Nick? Do you remember? Where's that IWM alert that I set? 179, bang on. So, Nick, am I going to get my 179?
I mean, it's sure.
Is he going to give me another $1.75?
A 50-day. I mean, it kind of looks like you might even get a 50-day test, and it would test the low of that gap too. It's the low of that gap, 177.45.
Oh, the 200 days, 179.61.
Yeah, you're right there. The 50
you
days at 178.
You wouldn't want it to undercut that, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, if we had like let's say we gap lower tomorrow, we open low tomorrow, and it gets bought up.
All right. I'll reset the alert.
I like the small caps a lot. Someone in my chat asked me, like, give me individual names. I was like, I actually don't like any of the individual names because it's like biotech. So I was like, I'm gonna just stick to IWM.
Yeah, biotech has we had a question about the XBI earlier, or actually somebody wanted to see it. XBI just kind of looks like it just doesn't want to overcome that.
God, I love just watching Duzio and MBG go back and forth about XLE versus the IBB or XBI. They just go back and forth on it.
No one.
Funny thing is,
would be
MBG
wrong.
doesn't even have a position at XLE.
No, he thinks the IWMs are gonna get worked too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think when you're putting in green quarterly candles after a banking crisis, after all this stuff, it's something to pay attention to. Volumes also increasing on each one of these quarterly candles. It's at the breakaway gap and breakaway gap from 2020, 2018 highs. It's something to pay attention to, and this is after a inverted hammer at the end of July 2022, right? Q2 or whatever it is, but there's a lot of stuff to like here. I don't know what causes the outperformance, but it sure feels like it's going to outperform.
Can you
other
get
sectors.
quarterly candles on TradingView?
Yeah, here you go. 3 months. There you go, pal.
Oh shoot, I can too.
Yeah, you can.
Whoa.
Holy shnikes. You can do 6 months. You can just put in your own range, Nick. It's crazy.
Dude, I didn't know I had the ability to do that. I didn't
Yeah,
pay for
man.
the I joined their Black Friday thing last year, so I guess I didn't even realize it. Damn.
You didn't use my
awesome.
link, did you? You didn't give me any points. Thanks,
I
Nick.
don't I might have.
No, you didn't. I would have known if you did.
Oh, well then yeah, you're right. I didn't. Well, if when I renew it this year, can I click you in there?
Nope, you're new. You're already in. You're
What
a
if
big,
I
you're
what
a
if I
big jerk.
what if I cancel this one and open up another?
In another, yeah, under another email address, that'll work.
Yeah, all right. I got
All
you.
right. Deal. No, I'm just joking, Nick. You don't have to go through all that problem.
Well, I mean,
I
Randy's
only
not sharing the
post it
love.
every year. It's like, hey
I know.
guys, if you're into charting, Trading View's the best.
I mean, it used to be My Free Stock Charts was like the easy one to, and then they got, I think, bought out by TC 2000 or something like that, I think. Yeah.
Hey guys, we've ran through an hour. So I'm gonna start it off with like, don't like. Obviously I like Google because I bought some, but I also started a position on Friday, Robinhood, Hood Markets. This has been a house of pain for a while. And I know our darling lady Kathy has been buying it up, but I don't know. I feel like something's got to give. It looks a lot like that XBI chart. If I just draw some quick lines here, I'm not saying it's going to the moon overnight, but little wedge there. A break up into that 50-week would be amazing. So I got some shares. I got some about month out calls in the money. So we'll see. They just dropped news tonight that they're laying off about 7% of their workforce. So layoffs have been bullish. So we'll see. But that's what I like. What I don't like, I mean, shit. What don't I like other than XLE and healthcare right now? Actually, I'm selling calls hand over and fist on SoFi right now. While I love SoFi and I'm very long SoFi. Been selling calls. I mentioned that last week. Selling calls to the end of time. Sold calls on the morning pop today. I don't know. I just see it as cheapening my shares and free money right now. I don't think it's ready to set up to go back above 10 in the short term. But when I stop selling calls, I'll be more bullish again. But there's the two things I like and don't like. Nick.
I'm watching ODFL and SAIA.
ODFL? Oh,
yeah.
Dominion.
Yep, ODFL and SAIA. I also obviously, like I said earlier, was Uber and CELH.
So, sorry, back up, Nick. Those are both trucking companies, right?
Yep.
The transports look ready, like ready. The DJT, Dow Jones Transportation, looks ready
to go.
Anyway, back to my bullish shake and bake theory. That looks ready to me. Sorry, Nick, didn't mean to step on you. You threw out two freight liners. I was like, oh.
Yeah, what I don't like, I'd probably just say
gold.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't. It's interesting. I wasn't in the camp with GP's like 160 call, but once it got into whatever monthly bar that is, like that low is 168.52. So it's kind of where I think it's heading as of late, at least as of right now. But I don't know. I don't know. There's not really much that I don't like, I guess. Stuff that I
Gotum.
That's interested in.
So I like GitLab.
Yeah, man. I like GitLab too. It ran hard a few weeks ago, a month ago. But yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
I think it looks great. Disney looks so bad, it could be great. Disney just looks awful.
That's what I said about Rivian this morning. It looks so bad, it's clean.
Yeah. It's Disney, so I think it looks so bad, it looks great. But honestly, if this area kind of breaks down, which it looks like a descending triangle, as much as I want to be long Mickey, this is a concern here that if this bottom falls out here,
it can go further.
Disney has room all the way to 67.
Oof.
All right. The first stop will be the 80 mark from 2020 lows. Yep. So if that holds, that'll be fine. But if it breaks that, then 67, 68 is a possibility. I hope it doesn't get there because that's just mean to Mickey, and we're not mean to Mickey. But 80 is it's looking higher and higher possibility of 80 touching. And when I'm looking at the flow, none of the flow looks even remotely bullish while it's sitting down here. So I'm like, oh man, this is not looking good.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Mickey in a little while. I noticed it lost that 90, whatever it popped to.
Yeah.
Which was kind of where it needed to hold. Actually, this 88 is actually where it needs to hold. But once it got back to the 90s, like 94 was where it needed to hold, and it couldn't.
It's not, and the flow has been selling calls all day, every day for weeks on end now. So any pop, any sort of $1-2 move, it's like the flow of call sellers is nuts. So to me, the downside pressure is mounting, and Disney has a date with 80.
All right, we'll be kind. Guys, Eswar, the nest, we can't go through them all. But ENPH, since Eswar was in
dollars.
What do you think, Nick?
Kind of like whatever, I don't remember what name that hum, like or maybe it's XOM. It's below the 200-day. It does look kind of like you could probably put on a trade for a bounce somewhere around here back towards 200, 220, but it's just not my kind of setup.
All right, GP to you, 3M.
So NPH, by the way, the 200 week EMEA and SMA are right around 150 to 160. So important area to hold, FYI. MMM.
Yep, 3M. Under the 200-day.
So I haven't looked at this chart in probably a better part of the last couple of years, since maybe 2020. And I have this alert set. It's set at $90.29. And it still hasn't gone off. So I honestly don't like the way this is looking.
I put this wasn't us talking about this. I put this line here a long time ago, GP, $90.20. So there you go.
So I'd be waiting for that level. There's nothing about this chart to me that screams, hey, I'm gonna miss out on a move higher. I think
Todd Lust on guys. This is going to be the last one. We appreciate it, but we're over time right now. On. This was brought up earlier.
Looks good. 3150 is your 3-week tight trigger. So
yeah,
over
it's
30.
sitting, it popped up off the 9 weekly this morning. It held the 9 weekly for the past 2 weeks since it went through it at the beginning of the month. I'm with Nick above 3150. It's good to go.
This
from a
isn't
chart
my
perspective.
IPO. No, thank you.
And there you have it. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Eswar the Nest and Todd Lust. And thank you, Nicholas, Gautam, GP, JFDI, my partners in crime, my 3 amigos. We are. Hey guys, we did it again. All right, Tiger. Sounds thanks for joining. Z looks okay according to Nick. But we're peacing out. We hope you guys like Monday. It works out really great for us most of the time. So we like Monday. There's definitely been more people watching, so we appreciate that. Hey, while you're here, comment, like, subscribe. It helps us out. We're trying to build the channel, and we need every person's engagement, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for being here. Hey, you need to send us that scanner, Randy. I don't think I'm letting you off the hook. But guys, thanks again. We appreciate you. We appreciate all your insight and the time that you put in for this. And we will be back next week.